join our newsletter, and go make a difference in your world. Now on to our show with your host, Peter Mingils.
Hello, everyone. Peter Mingils here. You are listening to me all by myself on Building Fortunes Radio. This is a really special segment only because I needed to record this on Building Fortunes Radio for those people that are familiar with, who I am and what I do. I have been telling this story individually for so many people that it's impossible for me to share this with as many people as I want to personally. Like, there's not enough time in the day for me to be able to have a 20-minute conversation. So I figured, you know what? I'm a radio show owner, and we might as well use Building Fortunes Radio to be able to highlight this, or I figured that would be a best use of my time for many people, because there's a lot of really great people out there that know a little bit about who we are and what we do that I need to share this information with. So here we go. If you're unfamiliar with my voice, because you might be a first-time listener, you found this on a website or you found this on a radio show, I own a company called PM Marketing. Started it back in 1998 when I moved down to Florida. I have a whole bunch of stuff that we do with home-based businesses. I wanted to increase our product line, as well as, of course, our profits, but I wanted to increase our product line, and I wanted a bigger microphone. So we started Building Fortunes Radio back towards the tail end of 2012, beginning part of 2013, and we record this on a major platform called Blog Talk Radio. So if you go to blogtalkradio.com/Building Fortunes, you'll be able to see it there. But I also wanted to brand it ourselves, and that's why we have Building Fortunes Radio. So Building Fortunes Radio is our main internet radio show. It's on everything from iTunes to Spotify to Flickr and Player FM. I think it's on Flickr. What is it? Player FM. They're all over the place. iVox, iTunes. I think Alexa. We have an Alexa skill as well. You'll be able to find it all over the place. Well, I'm real big on, doing whatever I can to help myself and my family. Started a long time ago. I worked with a friend of mine. His name is still Dan. Dan and I grew up in the vacuum cleaner business working with a company called Electrolux. I actually was his boss. I say that only for context. But I never considered him anything other than like a coworker. So I was an area VP of the Midwest. He was one of my division managers over in the Midwest, and we became close friends because we worked really hard together and fought a lot of wars in that Electrolux business. Well, Electrolux wound up being sold. They sold the brand name to a company over in Europe, and the guy who bought the company changed the name because he sold the company name. So the Electrolux that you see today in stores is not the one that I work with. They changed it to another company name, and he had my friend Dan and I have always been in contact with each other. Well, he knew that we were doing some stuff on commercial loans, so I own a domain name called capitalfunding.news. There's another plug. And on capitalfunding.news, we talk to a lot of business owners. So we do a lot of business-to-business loans. That's how other ways we've done some expanding. So he said to me, hey, Peter, you're talking to a lot of people that do business loans, or that are businesses rather. They really should know about this product that we designed, first for residences and then eventually for businesses. And I said, what's that? He said, this product that has this active pure technology has just been approved by the FDA to kill the coronavirus. I said, really? That sounds very interesting. I know there's a lot of businesses, obviously, that would be interested in that to try to get their customers back and keep their employees safe. So tell me more. So we started having this conversation. I said, I'm really very interested. He says, well, the paperwork isn't dried yet for the FDA approval. I said, as soon as that's done, let me know, because I know a lot of people want to know about that stuff. So get me that, and let's start talking. So I figured that we're going to have to put a web page together for people to order, because we have a lot of customers that I'm not going to be doing personal demonstrations for. So I said, well, put together a web page and send me some stuff, so I'll be able to see more about it. And we were talking back and forth about this system, and he says, well, there's one for like warehouses, and there's like big office space. There's other ones for homes or office buildings, with 2,000 square feet per minute. There's another one maybe for like a cubicle, if you're in a cubicle and you need something to plug into an electrical outlet, so you want to be protected against the bacteria, the viruses, the mold, and of course the coronavirus. And then there's one for cars, like mobile units. So he started sending me some paperwork and some literature, and I'm busy doing a business, and we're talking back and forth, and he's explaining this stuff to me, and one thing leading to another, and the holidays are creeping up, and my mom is saying that she's a little bit concerned having some family members over from New York. Oh, and by the way, if you're one of my relatives, I'm going to be talking about you right now. So that's one of the benefits of having a radio show, if you will, host as a relative. They start talking about you. But it'll be nice. It'll be nice. So I was talking to my mom, and my mom was telling me about how we're going to have some aunts and some cousins and other family members over to the house for Thanksgiving. And we used to always do that as a family when my kids were growing up. I was speaking to my son who lives in Colorado. I'm in Florida. And he was planning on driving down to Florida, brings his dog, which is really cool. So they take like a 3-day drive all the way down, then a 3-day drive all the way back up so they can have a car and then be able to see us as well. And then I have a daughter who is in the Marines, and she's got a bum knee right now. She's kind of stuck not being a Marine full-time as far as all the exercise and stuff like that because she's got this bum knee and they did some surgery on her, so she's waiting for another round of surgery. So she's kind of cooped up in a room over in Oklahoma, over at a Marine school for way too long. But she's going to be coming home relatively soon. So I'm kind of gathering all this information, kind of internalizing some of this stuff and figuring out where it's all going to fit. And then all of a sudden something happened. It was a barrage of some things that happened to me that I just have to share with you. First, I had asked my son in Colorado something, and he replied back to me, I got to give you the backdrop. My friend Dan had sent me through a text a mobile unit, the mobile unit that actually works inside mobile, meaning car, so it's got a cigarette lighter attachment, and an electric outlet, which means you can bring it in a hotel room. And he was kind of explaining it to me that you could kind of use it in the car. And then when he goes and travels, which he doesn't as much anymore, but when he did travel, he would take the mobile unit, plug it into the hotel as soon as he got there, and then leave, like go eat something, come back a half an hour or so later, and he'd feel safer that this mobile unit would kill whatever's on the surfaces as well as in the air. By the way, it does it without ozone, because ozone, I'm kind of partial to ozone, meaning like not partial to ozone. The ozone kind of stinks. And for some people, they get headaches, and they just don't like it. It bothers my friend Dan with his asthma as well. So anyway, so he sent me this mobile unit. I was reading it. And then one thing led to another. I said something to my son through text because we don't talk anymore. Like we do talk, but he's a millennial, so everything's through text. So he's texting me back and forth. And he said something like in a text, I'm not sure if we're coming for Christmas. Now, I got to give you a backdrop. My daughter is coming for Christmas. I haven't seen my daughter since February. So my daughter's coming for Christmas. My son was supposed to come for Christmas. We're in Florida. My other son was going to come for Christmas. I've never had a house where we didn't have kids in my house for Christmas. And now that they've all grown up, we're starting to kind of go through that. We don't have everybody in the same place at the same time. So because of the extended time that I hadn't seen my daughter, and I don't know when I'll see my daughter again, and because if he's not coming for Christmas because he's afraid, legitimately, of traveling and being in strange places like hotel rooms, well, you could just imagine what I did. I reopened up that text with that image of that mobile unit that Dan had given me. I started scanning through it. I'm like, scan. Yep, that's it. Dan, can you send me one of those units? Or do you have them in stock first? Do you have them in stock? Yep. Could you get me one and send it to my son in Colorado? So instantly, price, to me, I couldn't care less. And now, of course, I don't want to sound like I am not rich, but when it comes to the price of having my son here for the Christmas holidays or increasing the possibilities. Now, if he still doesn't come, I'll understand. I'll be disappointed, but I'll understand. But it won't be because he's afraid of driving in his car, and it won't be because of the hotel situation. So I sent him a unit, and he already has it. So he'll be able to use it in his home for a little bit. It only covers 5,000 square foot because it's a small mobile unit. But it'll handle the car, and it'll certainly handle the hotel room so he and his wife can feel comfortable when they get here. And that was the first thing. So then I had a conversation with my mom. And, for all those fact checkers, if you ask any of my family relatives, they'll tell you that this is exactly the way it happened. So I had a conversation with my mom, telling my mom about the mobile unit, and she was kind of telling me about having the family over in New York and how she was kind of concerned about, the COVID thing. And, if you're in New York and you're hearing, Governor Cuomo say, you can't have any more than one person in the room, and certainly no family gatherings, you're saying to yourself, well, is this a really smart thing for us to be doing? My mom is in her 70s. Her sisters are in their 60s. We got my brother's going to be there with their younger kids. They go to school. So there's a possibility for a lot of things to be happening in that one house. So when I was talking to my mom, I was telling her about what I just did for my son, and I was rattling in my brain, oh, crap, this is Monday before Thanksgiving, which is Thursday, and what the hell do I have to do? Crap, I'm saying to myself, sorry for on the people listening in. If there's any kids in the room, sorry. Poop, I said to myself, how the hell can I get her one? It's going to cost me $1 million before Thanksgiving. And again, I decided that's it. You know what? Dan, which one should I get for my mom? He said, get her the Pure and Clean. That's the model name. So get her the Pure and Clean. It'll be perfect for her. Handles 2,000 square feet. It'll handle the whole downstairs that she's got. It covers, remember, it does surfaces and the air, and just have her run it the night before. Like, do you think you can get it to her by Thursday? And he's like, yeah, I think if we put it at UPS, we'll get it to her on Wednesday, which is exactly what we did. Price was not an issue at that time either. Number one, I wanted my mom and my family to be safe, feel safe, have the peace of mind, but also be safe. So this stuff, remember, FDA approved, kills coronavirus on surface in the air. So the only reason why I'm having this conversation with you is I think I'm a regular guy. Now, it might be weird. Some of you, would probably challenge, like, that's where the fact-checking comes in. Like, really? Normal guy? Yeah, I think I am a normal guy, more or less. Maybe I do have normal things, but the reality is yeah, I'm a normal guy. It's just I'm a dad, I'm a husband, I'm all those other things, a human being too. I have a family. Many of you do too. So what would you do? So, like, if money is an object, but, so I'm like, okay. So my friend Dan only had one of the mobile units in stock at the time. So that was easy for me to make that decision, send that to Vincent over in Colorado. My mom, I said, do you have one of those Pure and Clean units in stock? She says, yep, I got one right here. If you tell me you want one now, I'll ship it out today. We'll make sure it gets there. It should be there in 2 days, which it was, by the way. Yay, UPS. Yay, UPS. You did the right thing. So UPS did the right thing. They got it there in 2 days, which I couldn't believe. But my mom had it, and she was able to easily plug it in. My friend Dan did the right thing. He opened up the unit. He says, but Dan's my friend. So I said, okay, so ship it to her. He had shipped it up, make sure it's working okay, put the settings at the right settings, not that she would have a hard time with that. Box it back up, shipped it to my mom. All my mom had to do is unbox it and plug it in. And she loves it. She loves it. I got some phone calls from some family members who were there, and they said, we really appreciate that. It made us feel safer, and we can tell it was working because we could, it was taking away the positive smells of the cooking. I guess that's a positive negative. So it took away the odors. So it's designed to kill bacteria and viruses and mold and all that sort of stuff, plus the coronavirus. So the only reason why I'm sharing with you that story is because there's probably some of you that might be listening and saying, you know what, I could really use one of those. So we decided to become distributors. So that's one of the reasons why I'm doing this, so you can hear. If you need them, just let me know, and we'll take care of you as far as everything is concerned, answering your questions and everything else like that. Well, I called my daughter, and I told her, listen, I'm sending you one of these things too over to Oklahoma while you're there so you could use it in your room. So I'm sure she has people that walk in and out of her room. She's in a dorm, like the equivalent of a military dorm room. So not only that, but you might go out, so you might get infected as well. You might bring some stuff in, might be infected. I'm going to ship it to you, but make sure you bring it home, because when you bring it home with you and you're traveling in the car with your friends, I know that now we're introducing all these other elements where somebody might get sick or you might get sick, and I know you're going to see your friends. Like, there's no way in the world she's going to quarantine herself against her friends. She's going to see her friends. She's going to be in a car. At least we'll have the peace of mind knowing that that mobile unit will be in that car. So that's one of the reasons why I am doing this little radio show, because I speak to many of you, and as you know, I can go on for a little bit, so I like to tell the story. But I don't have the 15 or 20 or 30 minutes to have that individual story with as many people as I'd really like to. So that's the personal side. Now here's a little bit on the business side. I was, and this is somewhat sad, I was watching a headline on, I think it was Fox News on the internet, and they were telling about a family that had an immune-compromised baby. I think the baby was about 3 years old at that time. And they were in the process of being evicted from their apartment. So I was reading that headline, and I was watching the video of that headline, and the young kid, who was in his early 20s, said, when the coronavirus thing happened, and we were told that if my daughter, she's 3-year-old, got sick, it would probably kill her. So we, meaning as responsible parents, decided that we're going to quit our jobs and stay home with our daughter. They figured it was only going to last a couple of weeks. Remember that? So it was only supposed to last a little bit of time. So they quit their jobs and, in essence, didn't go out, bare minimum, to be able to save the life of their daughter. Unfortunately, as you know, the rest of the story goes like this. Now we're several months into it. They only get $700 a month in unemployment. They're on food stamps. They're behind on their rent, like some stupid amount of money, behind on their utility bills, and they're being kicked out of their apartment. So now they're being kicked out of their apartment. And the kid who was giving this interview said, we did the best we possibly could. We didn't, what else were we supposed to do? We didn't want to get my daughter sick. We couldn't go to work. What else could we possibly do? And I said to myself, one choice was you could have gone to work, and one of the kids worked in factories, another one worked in kind of healthcare. So the possibility of them coming down with COVID would be probably, or being around COVID was probably pretty high. So one thing they said was, so what could you possibly do? And I said to myself, if they would have known about this Pure and Clean unit and this mobile device, they could have bought one or two of the Pure and Cleans, like maybe one for the baby's room to really make sure that you kill everything, maybe one for the rest of the apartment as well, which would probably be overdoing it. They might only need one, but maybe buy two. And maybe one of the mobile units for the cars that they had. But however they did whatever they did and had to borrow the money, whatever they did to borrow the money, they probably would have been safer doing that for their family. And at this point, they would have still been able to go to work. They would have still had their home and their job, and they wouldn't be in this uncomfortable situation that they're in. So I asked my friend Dan, I said, am I right or wrong in my thinking? He said, absolutely, positively right. He says the only thing they probably did was wait too long as far as the rent to let it go that far. But when you're a young kid and you're not really sure what to do, and you're making decisions based on the only information you have available, you're making the right choices. And I don't know what the end of the story was for them, but there's probably millions and millions and millions and millions of people that are in similar situations. And that's why I'm doing this radio show segment, because if you know anyone that could be helped by the air filters that I'm referencing. The mobile unit, the one for the house, or the blaster, which is the one for the like the office, like a warehouse or something like that. So if you're anybody who's anybody, and you're really concerned about being able to kill the coronavirus, this might be a solution for you. Make sure you give me a call. I should probably leave you my number, right? 386-445-3585. 386-445-3585. And if you go to our regular website, networkleads.com/air filters, you'll be able to see the different models and take a look at some of the videos that are up there and have access to my radio show that I did with my friend Dan as well. So if you go to networkleads.com/air filters, you'll be able to see that stuff there. If you have any questions, of course, I can hook you up with my friend Dan, who's far more knowledgeable about all of the things related to this than I am. So Dan will be able to answer your questions as well. But I just knew that I needed to make that decision. Now, I was speaking to a friend of mine. His name is Paul. So if you're listening, Paul, hey, I'm using you as an example. He was a gentleman who's an older gentleman was in a really bad car accident and certainly can't afford to get sick. So I called him up as well. I said, hey, listen, this is what I got going on. Let me tell you about this. And he thanked me for letting him know. And I literally had a conversation with just a little bit earlier. That's why I'm saying I can't have this personal conversation with every single person that I want to have this conversation with, hence the reason why I'm doing this radio show. So I can just let people listen to this instead, and if they're interested, they'd be able to take a look at this. But I was asking him about this stuff, and he says, well, are you going to take the vaccine? And I said, no. Big no, 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 no. And I said, do you even know about this vaccine? And he said, yeah. And I said, well, tell me what you know about the vaccine. How do vaccines work? And we went through the thing that most people would probably say about how vaccines work. And most vaccines, as you know, is they take a weakened, specimen of the thing they want you to be immune to, like they weaken smallpox, or they'd weaken the flu, or they weaken some other virus, and they inject you with that weakened virus, and then your body kind of builds up some immune systems, and, we can get into the whole anti-vaxxing thing, but I won't at this point. But I said, that is not NOT, the way this vaccine works. This vaccine is different. It's a messenger RNA, which means they're not injecting you with a weakened COVID virus. They're injecting you with some messenger RNA, which is injected and eventually works into the RNA of your cells. And like some of you might be saying, it's been a while since I was in school, but there's RNA and DNA, and now you talk about genetic material. And I'm like, hello, what could possibly go wrong here? What could possibly go wrong here? So, no, I said to my friend Paul, no, I am not taking the vaccine, literally speaking, no, until I find that it's actually safe and effective by my definition, not somebody who's trying to push this thing all over the place definition. So no, Paul, we're talking about the price of the units and the price of getting sick. Well, for any of you who have been sick or know somebody who's been sick, first of all, the hospitals are filling up all over again. Next is try to get in to do any kind of thing. So remember, these devices, they kill the bacteria, the viruses, the molds, everything else that might be out there as well. So without making any medical claims, that kills a lot of stuff, 99% of whatever is out there, or 99.9% depending on, what you want to talk about. So the reality is it's going to kill a lot of stuff. It's going to be safer for you to have this in your home than not, and your car not, or your RV or not, or your place of business or not. Number one. So, but the price of getting sick, like one emergency room visit, is way more than probably a couple of mobile units and maybe even the Pure and Clean as well. So the price of a hospital stay, the price of the treatment, way more expensive, right? So everybody knows, or almost everybody knows, the preventative maintenance is a hell of a lot less expensive than corrective procedures. And that's one of the reasons why I'm doing this as well. So this is Peter Mingils. You know me as the owner of Building Fortunes Radio. You know, we own a whole bunch of other stuff as well. But I'm not talking about all that other stuff as well right now. I'm talking to you as a human being. If you need information about this stuff and you need to get this to protect yourself and your family and your coworkers and everybody else, then make sure you check us out. And also, you know, I can't give you the motivational speech, but we can help you with on the network lead side, we can help you build your home-based business bigger so you'll be able to afford to pay what you just bought. So don't let price be the issue, because you can always make up the money by, you know, becoming a Building Fortunes affiliate. You can even sell some of these things with us, and you get affiliate commissions. You can build your home-based business. We can help you with that as well. There's lots of ways for you to figure out where you're going to find the money. As long as you're willing to do the work, we'll show you how to find the money and earn the money. But the reality is that I wanted to make sure that everybody that knew about this or needs to know about this will know about this as well. So I rambled real quick. I wanted to make sure this got out for our Building Fortunes Radio listening audience, and, you know, heartfelt thanks for all the people that support us in all the different ways that they do. Spread the message. There's solutions out there. So like that young couple over in Dallas who was losing their home because they didn't know about these solutions. And when my mom said to me, "Why don't other people know about this?" I said, "I don't know, Ma. I don't know." Now I wanted to make sure that I could share this with as many people as we possibly could. We're going to catch you next time on Building Fortunes Radio. You can always call me. Remember, 386-445-3585. 386-445-3585. We're up late, so I playfully say it's never too late to call. It's never too late to call. 386-445-3585. Peter Mingils signing off. We'll catch you next time.
You've been listening to Building Fortunes Radio on buildingfortunesradio.com. Thanks for listening. Be sure to check us out every Friday at 5 p.m. Eastern Time for the designated Building Fortunes Radio segment with Peter Mingils. Be sure to check out the buildingfortunesradio.com website for our featured segments. It's been our privilege to have you listen in. At Building Fortunes Radio, we wish you the success you deserve and are willing to work for. So spread the word, tell a friend, join our newsletter, and go make a difference in your world.